These examples are from the book, and they show um, how one can write a function to keep account of a bank account, keep track of a bank account. And so in this first iteration, and there are three that we're going to look at here, we have a function add interest, which takes two parameters, balance and rate. And inside this function, new balance is computed as balance times 1 plus rate. So this would update the balance would be the new um, updated amount of money in the bank. And then this last line assigns balance to new balance. And then the second function, test, simply exercises add interest. And so first of all, it assigns amount to be 1,000 and rate to be 0.05. So that would correspond to the initial value of the bank account being 1,000 and the 5% interest rate. And then it calls add interest with amount equal to 1,000 and rate equal to 0.05, and then prints amount, which is this variable here. And if you run test, you will see, this is the output here down below, that calling add interest and then printing out amount does not change amount. And so the reason that is because add interest returns none. It has no return statement, and it therefore does not communicate outside of itself. And so the variable balance that you see here inside add interest is local to add interest. The technical word for this is scope. And the inside add interest, this variable balance has the scope only inside the function here. It does not extend outside the function. Let's look at a second iteration of this function here, and it's exactly the same if I toggle back and forth between these two. The only difference is that this add interest is in another file, of course, is returning new balance. And if I do exactly the same kind of test, and I set amount equal to add interest amount comma rate, and then I print the amount is updated. Adding 5% to a $1,000 bank account will make that bank account go to $1,050. What's the difference? The difference is the return statement allows add interest to communicate outside of itself. And that's done in this line right here, where we both call add interest with the two parameters set to these values. We set that equal to the variable amount, and then we print out amount. So this return statement allows add interest to communicate outside of itself. This is the cleanest way for a function to communicate. And now this third one, I really don't like this example very much. It works, but it's not, in my opinion, the best way to do things. But in this case, what we do, if I compare, what I'm doing here is this file monitors 4 bank accounts, and we're going to put the bank accounts in balances. So balances is a list that holds the balances for each one of the accounts, and rate is the amount by which we're going to increase each one of the accounts in balances. And what it does is it uses a for loop to go through the list. Notice what it's doing here. It's traversing balances using an index. So for I in range of LEN of balances. So for example, if balances is 1, 2, 3, 4 long, the length of amounts is 4, and this would be for I in range 4, which means I is going to take on sequentially 0, 1, 2, and 3. So it goes through this loop 4 times. So it takes the 0th balance and updates it, and the 1th balance and updates it, and the 2th balance and updates it, and the 3rd balance, looking at this example, and updates that. So if we do a test on this, and we start by saying that the amounts are this list, and so this is going to be the list that contains the accounts that we want to manage. And here is the 5% increase that I'm going to put on each one of these. And I do an add interest amounts, comma, rate, and I print the amounts out. It actually increases each account by 5%. And so this is a little bit strange, because if you look at the first one, there's no return statement here, and the balances, the single balance, the single account was not affected here. And now I have an add interest function which operates on a list. It doesn't have a return statement, and yet it changes the balance in each account. So what gives? So the difference is that lists are not local. Changing a list within this function here, um, it's that those changes are visible outside of this because lists are mutable. That's actually the way it's working. And so um, this is because, just to rephrase what I said here, because balances is a list. So this is balances, and it's mutable, and this makes the variable balances non-local. And so back here, where a balance was just a number, in general a float, that was local. But here in add interest, the variable balances is a list, and that makes it visible outside of itself. And so a return statement is not needed, although again, in my opinion, I would do this differently, but it does work.